Hello, my powerful and deeply intuitive Scorpio soul. You didn't stumble upon this video by accident. You were guided here. Something within you has been stirring, whispering that your time is near, that your silence had a purpose, and your pain was never pointless. You are one of the chosen ones, not because life was easy for you, but because you kept rising even when no one saw you fall. August 5th isn't just another date on the calendar. It's a cosmic marker, a spiritual checkpoint meant to awaken you. The universe has aligned something powerful for you, and this message is a confirmation that your mission is beginning now. You might have felt alone, misunderstood, or even betrayed by those closest to you, but that isolation was sacred. It was preparing you for this divine moment. You are not broken, Scorpio. You are being rebuilt. Everything you've endured was training for what you're about to walk into. There is a shift in the air, a hidden door opening, and only the chosen ones will feel it. You're not late. You're not lost. You're right on divine time. So take a deep breath, Scorpio, because after today, nothing will ever be the same. You're stepping into the calling that was written in your soul before you were even born. And this is your confirmation. Scorpio, before you ever took your first breath in this lifetime, your soul made a sacred agreement, a divine contract written not in ink, but in light. You didn't come here to live an easy life. You came here to live a true one. Your mission was never meant to start early or unfold without resistance, because your soul chose depth over speed, transformation over ease. You are one of the chosen ones, not because you've always known who you were, but because you were willing to find yourself again after losing everything. The pain, the silence, the rejection, it was all part of the initiation. You agreed, long before you arrived, to walk through fire so that you could carry light. Every betrayal shaped your discernment. Every delay taught you the rhythm of divine timing. Every fall strengthened the core of who you are becoming. You weren't being punished. You were being refined, tested, trusted with more than others could bear. Your mission couldn't begin until you were no longer chasing validation, no longer begging for belonging, no longer operating from fear. And so, the universe orchestrated delays, not to deny you, but to protect the purity of your calling. You were hidden for a reason, buried so you could grow roots, held back so you could grow wings. And now, something ancient is awakening inside you, a remembrance, a fire, a knowing. It's not ambition, it's alignment. You feel it, don't you? That quiet certainty rising through your chest, the one whispering, now is the time. The illusions are falling away. The heaviness is lifting. You are not who you used to be. And that's exactly the point. Your soul wasn't waiting for the world to change. It was waiting for you to remember. And now that you do, your mission can finally begin. Scorpio, you've always felt the weight of something unspoken pressing on your chest, as if your soul was preparing for something enormous, long before you had words for it. That feeling wasn't anxiety. It was alignment in the making. While others rushed to be seen, you were buried in silence. While they celebrated quick wins, you were being carved out from the inside, stripped of illusions, attachments, and everything you thought made you strong. What you didn't realize then is that the silence was sacred. The setbacks were sacred. The loneliness was sacred. You were never being overlooked. You were being forged. Every heartbreak was sharpening your intuition. Every delay was stretching your patience. Every door that slammed shut was teaching you to build a gate within yourself. You were not preparing for a normal path. You were preparing to carry something otherworldly. And so the universe hid you. Not because you were weak, but because your power was still too raw to be released into a world that wouldn't understand it. While others were applauded, you were stripped down, layer by layer, identity by identity, until only truth remained. The truth of who you really are. The preparation wasn't punishment. It was prophecy in motion. You were becoming the vessel, not just the voice. And that kind of becoming cannot be rushed. You had to break to learn how to bend. You had to lose to learn how to hold. You had to be emptied so you could finally carry what is yours. And now, as the dust settles and your spirit steadies, you can feel it. The shift, the quiet strength, the knowing. You're not who you were before. And that's exactly why you're ready now. Everything you've walked through wasn't a detour, Scorpio. It was the path. And now the path is rising to meet you. Scorpio, there's a reason your journey has felt so solitary. Why you've so often found yourself on the outside looking in, misunderstood even by those closest to you. It's not because you are unworthy of connection, but because your calling required clarity, and clarity only comes in silence. You were never truly alone. You were being consecrated, set apart, protected by divine hands that knew your environment couldn't pollute the purity of your becoming. The isolation wasn't a punishment. It was a cocoon, a sacred womb where your spirit could shed the noise, the masks, the expectations of the world, and finally begin to remember its true sound. And yes, it was painful to watch others gather while you sat in the quiet, to reach out and be met with echoes. But that emptiness, it was holy. The universe removed what could not walk with you into your next chapter. You didn't lose people. You were released from what would have dimmed your light. Scorpio, your soul needed space to breathe, to heal, to awaken. And so the universe answered, not with applause, but with absence. Not with crowds, but with the courage to stand alone. Because your mission isn't one that follows trends or seeks approval. It demands truth, depth, and unwavering presence. And you can't carry that kind of power when you're constantly surrounded by noise. That's why you were pulled back. That's why the invitation stopped. That's why the phone was silent. Because solitude was your sanctuary. In your stillness, you met yourself. In your solitude, you found God. And now, as you re-emerge, quieter, wiser, more whole, you no longer crave the noise you once feared missing. You're not coming back the same. You're coming back chosen, refined, unshakable, and the ones who once overlooked you will now sense the shift, not because you demand to be seen, but because you finally see yourself. Scorpio, before your mission could ever begin, your old self had to be eclipsed, not just changed, but completely dismantled. And that's exactly what life did to you, often without warning and without mercy. The identity you once wore, the roles, the masks, the version of you that played small just to feel safe, all of it had to die, because your mission could never be carried by a half-awake soul. It required the full version of you, raw, real, reborn. The breakdowns, the betrayals, the moments when you couldn't recognize yourself in the mirror, those weren't accidents. They were sacred storms sent to wash away everything that wasn't aligned with your divine design. And yes, it hurt. Like hell, ego death always does. letting go of who you thought you were, who you thought you had to be loved, accepted, successful. It felt like losing your entire world. But what you were really losing was the illusion. You were being stripped back to your essence. Scorpio, you are the phoenix. Your very nature is death and rebirth. But no one tells you how lonely the ashes feel, how disorienting it is to no longer fit into the life you built before the fire came. And yet, this was necessary. The old self couldn't hold the weight of your calling. The false confidence, the people-pleasing, the survival-based thinking, it would have crumbled under the responsibility of your soul's true mission. So the universe intervened. It broke what you were clinging to, not to harm you, but to free you. Because the version of you who will fulfill this mission had to rise from the ruins of the past, unshackled, unfiltered, unafraid. And now, something new is emerging, not a performance, but a presence. You no longer need to be who you were, because who you are now is enough. The eclipse is over, Scorpio. The shadow has passed. What's left is light, your light, ready to guide others through the same fire that once tried to consume you. Scorpio, one of the greatest tensions you've ever carried wasn't between you and others. It was between your soul's divine timeline and your ego's desperate urgency. You felt the fire to move, to act, to break through long before the doors were ready to open. And that frustration, that aching sense of being ready, yet still unseen or unrewarded, it wasn't a flaw in you. It was your soul teaching you patience and power. Because ego says, I want it now. But divinity says, you will walk only when the ground is ready. You see, Scorpio, your urgency came from pain, from wanting to escape where you were, prove your worth, or fill the void that silence created. But the universe wasn't looking for speed. It was waiting for surrender. Divine timing isn't about delay. It's about alignment. And while your ego saw doors that refused to open, your soul saw gates that would only respond to your maturity, your healing, your true vibration. That's why nothing happened when you pushed. That's why things fell apart when you tried to force it. Not because you were wrong, but because you were early. The mission couldn't begin while you were still acting from fear. It couldn't unfold while you were still trying to earn love or chase validation. Divine timing waits for you to remember that you already are it. That the path doesn't begin when you hustle harder, but when you become the version of you that no longer needs to rush. And now, finally, that version is rising. You feel it, don't you? The urgency has softened. The fear has quieted. And in its place, there's a knowing, a grounded trust in the pace of your own becoming. Scorpio, your power isn't in being early. It's in being right on time. Not the world's time, not the clock's time, but soul time. And now that you're walking in that rhythm, you'll notice something beautiful. Everything that once resisted you is starting to rise to meet you. You no longer need to chase what's already been written in your destiny, because now you're finally ready to receive it. Scorpio, now that the fire has passed, the ashes have settled, and your old self no longer holds you hostage, something extraordinary is beginning to stir, quietly, unmistakably, and powerfully. You may not even realize it at first, but there are signs all around you that your soul has been activated. This isn't just a feeling. It's a shift, a change in frequency, a silent awakening that ripples through every part of your being. You no longer react to the things that once triggered you. You find yourself walking away from chaos without explanation, Your boundaries aren't walls. They're sacred choices. You feel the weight of your past lifting, not because it didn't happen, but because it no longer defines you. And you've stopped needing others to understand your path, because you finally understand it yourself. That's activation. That's embodiment. You might notice your intuition sharpening, like a knowing that comes before the facts, a sense that guides you without logic. People from your past may start reaching out, not because they've changed, but because your energy has. Synchronicities begin to multiply, repeated numbers, symbols, dreams that feel too vivid to be random. These aren't coincidences. They are confirmations. The universe is speaking louder now, because you finally cleared the static that once blocked the signal. And deep inside, you feel something else. A calm, unshakable trust. You're no longer chasing purpose, Scorpio. You're walking in it. The mission that once felt distant now feels familiar. Like something you've known all along, but only now have the eyes to see. And when challenges arise, because they still will, you meet them differently. With grace, not panic. With clarity, not confusion. Because something in you knows, I've already survived worse. I was built for this. This is the shift, Scorpio. This is what it feels like to be called, not just awakened. You're no longer watching life happen. You're participating in your own prophecy. The signs are everywhere. And the reason you're seeing them now is simple, because you're finally ready to believe them. Scorpio, now that your energy has shifted and your soul has awakened, the doors that once refused to budge are beginning to respond. Not because the world suddenly became more generous, but because you became more aligned. Opportunities that were previously blocked are now unfolding with ease. People who once ignored your presence now feel your frequency before you even speak. The things you used to chase are circling back, not as temptations, but as confirmations that you've outgrown them. This is not about luck. This is alignment. The vibration you now carry is unlocking rooms that your old self was never meant to enter. You no longer need to push. The current is carrying you. The job, the connection, the breakthrough you thought would never come. It's finding its way back to you, but this time it will arrive without resistance. And you'll notice something else. You don't feel desperate for it anymore. You're not begging for approval, love, or recognition, because your soul finally remembers that what's for you can't miss you, and what missed you before was never really yours. Scorpio, you've stepped into a season where everything feels eerily timed. Emails arrive at the exact right moment. You meet someone who says the one thing you needed to hear. The door creaks open, and you realize it was never locked. You just hadn't become the version of yourself who knew how to turn the handle. Now you do. And while these external changes are beautiful, they are simply the mirror of an internal reality. You are no longer vibrating at survival. You're vibrating at sovereignty. You're no longer asking permission to step forward. You're answering a call that is echoed through lifetimes. And because of that, the path ahead is no longer filled with tests, but with invitations. Not all of them will be loud. Some will be soft, subtle, sacred. But you'll know them by the way your soul whispers, yes, before your mind even catches. Up, the door is open now, Scorpio. The only question is, will you walk through it, knowing you've already become the key? Scorpio, now that your mission has begun, and the doors have opened, there's something even more important than stepping through them, and that's protecting what you've been entrusted with. Because every time a chosen one rises, the noise rises too. Not all attention is support. Not all curiosity is love. And not everyone clapping is celebrating you. You must protect your energy now like a sacred flame. You didn't walk through fire just to hand your light to those who live in the shadows. This new version of you, grounded, healed, powerful, is magnetic. But with that magnetism comes responsibility. You'll attract what serves you and what tests you. Both are part of the journey. But discernment is your sword. Not everyone deserves access to this new you. Not everyone should be invited into your sacred space. Protect your mission from distractions disguised as opportunities. Protect your soul from people who speak love but carry chaos. Protect your boundaries from guilt, from obligation, from the old stories that no longer define you. Scorpio, your silence was once survival. Now it's strategy. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your evolution. You don't have to over-explain your peace, your path, or your protection. Trust the wisdom you've earned. Listen to the inner alarm that whispers when something feels off. That's not fear, it's foresight. Your intuition isn't a gift, it's a shield. And now, it's sharper than ever. Stay close to what fuels your spirit. Anchor yourself in practices that cleanse your field. Prayer, stillness, salt, sound. Don't underestimate the power of solitude. The mission you carry isn't light, but neither are you. And this time, you're not moving from wounds. You're moving with wisdom. So guard what you're building. Tend to your energy like it's the most valuable currency you have, because it is. And remember, you are not here to convince, to prove, or to chase. You're here to carry the fire. And the fire only burns steady when it's protected by sacred hands. Scorpio, here's the final truth, the one your soul has always known. Even when your mind forgot, you are the mission. It was never just about what you would do, what you would create, or who you would help. It was always about who you would become. Every lesson, every heartbreak, every delay, every tear, it wasn't preparing you for a role to play. It was preparing you to embody a frequency that changes rooms, heals hearts, and breaks generational patterns just by existing. You thought the mission was external, a purpose to chase, a goal to reach. But the real mission was internal. To reclaim yourself, piece by piece, breath by breath, and finally stand in the fullness of your own soul. And now that you're here, you can feel it. Not just as a thought, but as a presence. You've become the living proof that the dark does not win, that broken things can bloom, that silence can sing, that those who were buried weren't meant to disappear. They were meant to rise stronger, wiser, unshakable. You are the message that others have been praying to hear. You are the mirror that will remind others of who they truly are. You are the frequency that turns pain into prophecy. And you didn't get here by accident. You got here because you said yes to the fire. You didn't quit when it was heavy. You didn't run when it was lonely. You stayed. You healed. You rose. And now, Scorpio, you carry something sacred in your very being. You no longer need to seek the mission because you are walking as it. Every word you speak, every boundary you honor, every moment you choose peace over performance, you are fulfilling what your soul came here to do. So don't shrink now. Don't second-guess the timing. Don't question whether you're enough. You're not just ready. You are the readiness. You are the sign someone else has been waiting for. You are the divine in motion. This is your moment. This is your reminder. And this is your return to the truth you never lost. You simply had to live enough to believe it. Scorpio, you are the mission. And it begins with every step you take from this moment forward.